fucking Jerome over here, fucking with his girlfriend in my fucking garage.
Outwatches 5-6.
In April 2024, UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones was supposed to get a drug test. However, what started as a routine procedure swiftly escalated into Jones allegedly threatening the tester's life and taking her phone. The Albuquerque Police Department visited the tester to get her side of the story.
Over it later.
Okay.
So can you kind of tell me, it looked like, I seen there was a cross-reference report too. Did you try to make a report the other day at the PNC Bank or something?
Yes, so what happened is I actually went to substation. Excuse me, sorry. And they sent I went to the one in Rio Grande. He sent me I told him the story. He told me he sent me to the one on Montano and 2nd Street. So I went there.
Okay.
Yeah, I went there, and then they told me, well, you have to call 242 cops. If you want to go home, they can meet you there. It takes a while. Sometimes call from there. So I drive all the way to T. Harris, and then I had called 242 cops and waited. They called me back and said, oh, well.
It's out of jurisdiction.
Yes.
So we can't.
so then yesterday I was back in town, and I called. I was at the Bank of America building, and I waited 7 hours. And they called me and said, it's going to be longer, and I had to work this morning at 4:30.
Okay.
So I had to leave. That's why.
Okay, so the day of, when did this incident occur? I know it said the 30th,
Saturday.
but...
The 30th. Saturday the 30th.
And around approximately what time?
I want to say I showed up at his house around 4 o'clock p.m.
Okay, and then kind of tell me what happened, what would occur.
Okay, so I work for a company, this one also, but another company called Drug Free Sport International. And what we do is we do drug testing for the UFC and the NCAA. So I show up, I identify myself. Well, I show up to his first residence. He's not there. I call him. His phone's not on.
And then just for the report, what was the address on it?
The first property, I don't have it.
Okay.
Once I log out, I don't.
Okay, do you recall if it was this one, the 9050? Oh, that's the second address?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I was telling you, he wasn't at that address. So then I call his manager. He gives me the address to the location he's at. So I drive there. And I knock on the door. Some guy answers, said he doesn't live there. I said, well, I know. I just spoke with his manager, and I am here to do a drug test with the Drug Free Sport International UFC. He then said, oh, okay, well, let me check again, So he leaves us at the door. But then about 10 minutes later, we get someone talking through the door. I said, meet us at the garage. So we went to the garage. He opens it up. We identify ourselves. He's like, oh, okay, he lets us in the garage. And he knows the protocol. He does drug tests all the time. I said, you have a urine test. Where would you like to do the test at?
And then sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Was it just only you that arrived?
There was a man with me by the name of Jerome. I don't know his last name.
Jerome. Does he work for the same company?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, okay. Okay, so you met them at the garage, and then what happened?
So he wanted to pee right there with no bathroom, and I'm like, well, I'll walk around the corner, because that's why I take a man with me, so he can pee on his own. And so I walked around the corner. A few minutes go by, I didn't hear them, so I came around the corner after I called their name out, and they weren't in there.
Okay. Was Jerome still with them?
Yes, he went to take him to.
I guess they went inside or something.
They didn't go inside. They went to the patio. He didn't want us in his home, which is fine. So he goes to the patio. But it took him a while. He comes back through the door, and I could tell that Jerome was nervous at this point. At first he was super excited because he knows who Jon Jones is. I don't. So he's like, this is the highlight of my day. He was so proud, But then when he walks through the door, I could tell he's like shaking, really nervous. And then I could tell that Jon Jones is very agitated. He's like, well, Jerome said, well, he can't pee, he can't pee. And at this time, Jones is kind of just puffed up like this.
And when you say agitated, sorry, just for the report, can you describe what
Yes.
was he doing that was...
Puffed up. He was like puffed up, he didn't have very kind words for us. He was not cooperative. He's like, and then Jerome says, well, maybe you could do the blood test.
And before you guys came in contact with him, I'm assuming he was cooperative?
Yeah, when he opened the door, he was cooperative.
Okay.
At first, he knew what we're there for. We identified ourselves. We told him what was going on, and that he knows he has to get a drug test, so he let us in. But he comes through the door. He's agitated. He's bugged, and so I'm like, I'm trying to. Okay, well, let me do the blood test. So I do the computer stuff, and then I start to do it on his arm. And I had it on his arm, and he was really pissed off about this point. He started saying, why the fuck you guys come here so early? I'm like, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You know what I mean? He was getting really agitated with us, asking us, do you have money, Crystal? Jerome, do you guys have money? And we're like, no. Why? He's like, because I'm gonna fucking sue your asses. You're fucking going down. Say goodbye to your assets. And so I started to get super nervous because his demeanor, he started getting very in our face, pissed off. At that point, I have all my equipment on a counter in his garage along with my phone. And I'm like, no, I don't have money. He grabbed my phone. He's like, it's your phone? I'm like, yeah. He goes, pushes play. He pushes record. And he starts recording a video of us, and it's on my phone. I have it. I have it on my phone.
It's on your phone?
Yes, I'll show
okay.
you. He's like, this is whatever, I'll show you what he said. And I'm like, we're trying not to respond to him, trying not to agitate him even more. And then he puts down he stops recording, and I'm like, can I get my phone back? And he's like, fuck you. And he puts my phone in his pocket. And I'm like, okay, at this point, I am so scared. My heart is racing. I'm trying, he still has the sting on his arm, it's like, I don't know what to do. I'm trying to, kind of go with it, trying not to agitate him, trying not to,
so he put it in his pocket? Sorry, I'm trying to...
He put it in his pocket.
His pocket.
Yeah.
And you said you felt scared, your heart was racing,
yes,
you said? Okay.
Yes. I asked him for my phone back. He told me, F you.
Okay, and then what happened from there?
So then, I take off, he still has to do the pee test. But at this time, he's so angry. He's telling us that, what happens to people. He's coming right up to me, like in my face. What happens to people who fucking come to my house this early? They fucking die. And I'm just like this, like shaking. I feel like I'm gonna pass out. But I'm not responding to him because I'm afraid. He's saying the same things to Jerome. At this point, he still has my phone in his pocket. I'm like, how am I going to get it out of here? At this point, I just want to terminate the drug test because I don't give a shit if I get anything. I want to get out of here. I don't feel safe.
At any point, did he ask you guys to leave the property or
Never.
anything like that? And then I know you said he got into your face.
Mm-hmm.
He said that, do you know what happens to people
who come in my house so they fucking die?
Did he have any sort of weapons or anything
No.
that you see?
So he's continuously just trying to argue with us, talk shit. He's walking back and forth from the where we're at to the edge of the garage, and Jerome had his girlfriend we were parked in the garage, but his girlfriend stayed in the car. And at this point, I told Jerome, because he's mad that we're even parked in his garage. I said, do you want us to not in his garage, on his driveway. I said, do you want us to move our vehicles? Why the fuck do you even have, why the fuck, this is unprofessional. You shouldn't be fucking parked in my driveway. And I'm like, okay, I've parked in driveway. You know, it's not a big deal. I told Jerome, tell her to leave. Like, he keeps going up there, like, he's mad, very angry, you know. And so Jerome walks to the car, tells his girlfriend, gives him his cell phone, because we're afraid that he just took my cell phone. He gives the girlfriend his cell phone and leaves. Or she leaves.
So Jerome
gives... Jerome didn't leave. The girlfriend left.
So Jerome gave...
his girlfriend the cell phone.
And whose cell phone did Jerome have? His
Mine. He had my phone.
Oh, okay. So Jerome...
So...
Sorry, I got a little confused
okay.
on that one.
I had all my equipment here.
Okay.
Jon Jones had my cell phone in his pocket.
Okay.
He's pissed walking back and forth that we're parked in the, you know, in the driveway. So I told Jerome, go ahead and tell her to leave, you know, to take off.
His girlfriend
yes,
to take
his
off. Jones's girlfriend
yes.
to take off.
No,
okay.
Jerome's girlfriend.
Oh, Jerome's girlfriend was there too?
Yes, because she was in the car, because what happened is we had an emergency. My husband usually does the drug testing with me. He had to leave, and I had to get it done that day. And Jerome's part of our team. Okay. So I called him. He did a last minute call with us. So he showed up and...
Okay, so his wife was in the car.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So I told Jerome, have her, you know, leave. So he went to the car and he said, oh, go ahead and leave. But he also gave her his cell phone, his own cell phone.
Oh, okay.
Because
so
he had grabbed
Jerome
my cell
gave
phone.
his girlfriend his cell phone.
Yes.
So he wouldn't... Okay.
Yeah, because he had mine. So she takes off. Jerome comes back in and I'm like, hey, you know, do you want to try again? Do you want to try to pee again? By this time, I honestly just wanted to terminate it. I was terrified. But I knew that if we terminated it, he could get fined. And I was afraid that he's already threatening to kill me and Jerome. I didn't know what could happen. So I'm so terrified. So he tells Jerome, Jerome tells him, hey, you don't want to go try again? So he's like, I go, you know, we do have to stay here until you provide a urine. You know, that's protocol. He's like, yeah, I guess I'll try again. So he gets up and he had my cell phone in his pocket and his ID or his wallet. And he gets up and he takes everything out of his wallet, like there's his wallet and his thing, and he puts it on the counter and he goes out through the door. And as soon as he did that, I went and grabbed my cell phone. I started texting my boss. Oh, it was awful. So I text my boss during, you know, I was at the house. I said, hold on, sorry. I said at 4:16, at 4:16, I said, oh wait, I'm sorry, it's at 4:12, I said, he's threatening us. This is to my boss, Pearson, Drug Free Sport. I said, this is terrible. So he calls me, and I'm like, I can't answer the call, because if they come back through that door, and he hears that I'm on the phone, I'm afraid he's going to kill me.
You're afraid if he sees you on the phone?
Yes, he'd be upset. So I rejected the call and put that text, sorry, you can't talk now. He said, okay, call me when you can. Do you need me to call my contacts at UFC? I said, yes, we feel unsafe. And then this is later on, he hasn't urinated.
What was he telling? I'll call you after Jerome. Okay.
And then, and I said,
you can get the samples and do, but don't put yourself in a danger, of course.
I said, okay. And this is after the test right here.
It's possible. Let me see. They ask you to include as much details as possible in a report. Just totally unacceptable. Okay.
So that's my boss. But so I'm texting him during this thing, like, I don't know how to get out of here. Pearson, my boss, is the only person who knows where we're at, because I can't, like, hey, I'm here, because it's, you know, we can't say anything, because it's obviously a famous person. We don't want other people to know where they live. Mm-hmm. So I started texting him, because I knew he was the only person that knew we were there. I needed someone to know we didn't feel safe.
protocol, do you guys usually like notify them that you're on your way or anything like that, or it's just like randomized so they don't know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we don't want them to take something or, try to get, so there's no, we just show up. It's a random drug test is what it is.
Okay.
So then he comes back through the doors with urine, but at this time when I'm texting, it was a good maybe 15 minutes when I was in the garage by myself. I literally packed up all my stuff. I in my brain, I'm like, I'm gonna just leave. I have to leave. I can't, this is terrifying. But then I saw how scared Jerome was, and I couldn't leave him. I could hear Jon Jones yelling, raising his voice.
Well, you were waiting those 15 minutes, and that was already after the thing when you grabbed your phone back and you let your boss know. So Jerome was with Jones, I'm assuming, to finish or witness the test and all that. Okay.
So he was with him, and finally, about 15 minutes later, they come through the door, and he has the urine. And at this point, I mean, Jerome looks like he's white as a ghost. I could hear Jon Jones just continuously, talking with him, talking. Not even talking, raising his voice at him, and Jerome's an older man, he's an old man, so I didn't really hear him talking a whole lot, but I could hear, Jon Jones raising his voice. And so they come back in, they have the urine, and I said, okay, do you want to process the urine, Jerome? He's like, okay. So he starts processing it. I mean, he completely processes it completely wrong. He doesn't package it right. He doesn't put the labels on it. He is terrified.
Okay. And then, sorry, I'm going to step back just when you said that when you were in the garage, you heard Jones raising his voice, right?
Yes. Jerome.
And do you remember, do you recall hearing anything specifically?
I don't, but I could tell you, I mean.
But it was loud enough where you could kind of hear that
definitely
the tone or something.
Yes. Yeah. It was, he was definitely angry.
Okay. And then you said Jerome came back, and you said that he pretty much seemed scared.
Oh yeah.
Shaking, pale, and you said that he was packaging processing, however you guys processing it wrong.
He forgot the labels, so I go, Jerome, I'm trying to do the computer stuff, trying to get the hell out of there. I'm trying to do the computer stuff. Jerome's packaging it, and I look at it, and it's wrong. I said, Jerome, we have to unpackage this. I unpackaged it. We put the labels on it, and then I said, okay, go ahead and put it back in the bag. And then he packages it wrong again. He doesn't seal the bag properly. Like, there's a specific protocol we have to do in order for these to remain secure. And he did it wrong again. And I'm like, honestly, he's, you guys are going to fucking die, in our ears. And
that's what he's saying while you guys are trying to process this.
Yeah. Okay. Nobody fucking shows up to my houses early and lives and all this stuff, right? And so I'm like, at this point, I don't even care how I package it. I get the stuff, put it in the box, don't, ask him all the questions, have him sign, and we're out of there. I'm like, okay, well, thank you. Hey, he's once I'm doing the paperwork and Jerome's doing the last thing, he's like, you know what? He's like, I'm a piece of shit, aren't I? He's like, I should not have treated you guys like that. You guys are the good guys. And we're like, what the fudge is going on here?
Did he appear to be under the influence of anything?
He did. I could smell alcohol, but I don't know. I mean, I couldn't tell you, oh, well, I know for sure, I didn't see visible signs of cocaine use. I don't know that part, but I could smell alcohol. So I knew that he was, either had drank the night before, or I don't know, but I could smell alcohol. I shouldn't have, and I'm, at this point I'm like, don't worry about it. Me and Jerome like, oh, that's okay. Don't worry, we get it, And I told him it's going to be me and my husband, testing from now on, just to let you know, He's like, yeah, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. He goes to give me a high five. I give him a high five and I'm walking towards the garage door to get out of there. Packaged all my stuff. I just threw it in a box. I didn't even package it properly. Jerome didn't package it. We just got out of there. So we left. As soon as we get in the garage, Jerome says, get out of here. Like, he's visibly shaken up. He's like, I said, well, that was a trip. He's like, you should have seen what he was telling me in there. He was in my face telling me that Same things he was telling us. You know what happens to people who come to my house? He said, so he told my boss, because we're on the phone with my boss, and he told my boss what he's saying. He goes, yeah, I tried to say, like, so do you have plans for Easter? And he's like, yeah, if I don't fucking have to bury a body. And he said, he's looking me right in the face. He said, all I could think is that, God, please get me out of here. I'm going to die.
And that was when did he say that statement?
When he was in with...
Oh, Jerome, that's what Jerome told you. He said, "Oh,
he was saying that, yeah."
So Jerome asked him, "Does he have?" Or he asked Jerome.
Jerome asked him, trying to
just to make small talk to kind of de-escalate.
Yes.
Okay.
And it just didn't. It didn't de-escalate it. I kind of made it worse, and they would say stuff like that. And Jerome's like, "Okay, like, he said, all I could think about was that he's gonna kill me. I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna make it out of here." And then we got in the car or whatever, and Pearson's like, can you please write a statement? And Jerome was very scared. He called his girlfriend, come pick me up. And he said, I don't want to have anything, I don't want to have to write a statement. He said, because I am afraid of the repercussions of this. He said, that was not cool. Okay. And I said, okay, but he did tell Pearson, who's my boss, what, he's also a witness to what Jerome had said. So, it's fine if he decides not to. I don't blame him. It's scary as hell.
So he said he didn't want to pursue charges. Or,
yeah.
Do you by chance just have a phone number for Jerome or something so I could get a photo of him?
But if you want to call Pearson, Pearson also, you're welcome to. I didn't file a police report that day because Pearson I have 3 UFC officials call me. We don't know, what's going on. Well, they called, I told Pearson, I have every intention of filing a police report. I didn't think I was going to make it out. I honestly thought he was going to kill us. When we left, I told Pearson, I am filing a police report. I texted him, I said, I have full intentions on filing a police report. What he did was wrong. He should have never taken my phone. I didn't have a way out. And Pearson told me that they asked him to ask me if I would wait till Wednesday because the UFC was going to fly out here and talk with him and his manager on Tuesday.
So who asked you to delay the... Sorry.
Pearson.
So you were going to do a report. You spoke with 3 different UFCs. Pearson, which is...
My boss.
Your boss. Stated if you could just wait till like Wednesday.
Yes, and I said yes.
Okay.
Because I said, yeah, they can talk with them. So then I'm here working on Tuesday. And I guess they're having a meeting. And Pearson calls me and says to me on the phone, they want to know why you want to file a police report.
Sorry, give me one second.
Fine.
Okay, sorry. So you said after when...
So on Tuesday I'm here at work and I get a call from Pearson and he says, Trent, who's his boss, says, they want to know why you want to file a police report. And I'm like, I told him, are you effing kidding me right now?
It's basically, well, from what you're telling me right now, because how close he was, I know you said you were kind of nervous.
He's a trained professional who beats the crap out of heavyweight men.
Let me ask you, did you feel like he was going to hit you at all?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I felt like, I was shaking. I would, avoid him. I'll show you the video.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll see it here in a second. So from what you're telling me right now, it sounds like we have possible assault charges.
Okay.
It is a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do have the right to, pursue charges if that's what you want.
Yeah, I do. And I feel like,
So you said on Tuesday, your boss was like, well, basically just questioning you, like, why do you want to file? Okay.
Yeah. And, that was hurtful. Like, I feel like my life doesn't matter. You're protecting, like, for someone to take my phone where I feel like I can't call for help, that's not okay. Like, what was I going to do? I honestly thought I was going to run out. Like, I'm picturing in my head, how am I going to escape this?
And had he not took, just for the report, because it might be, had he not taken your phone, would you have probably called for help? Or?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. I would did it as soon as I got my phone back, I started texting my boss, we're unsafe. you know.
And then at any point, I know you said that Jerome had gave his phone to his girlfriend, but did you try to let Jerome know to like call the police or anything like that?
I tried to signal to Jerome a couple times, like, do you want to go? You know what I mean? Like, because if that's the case, I was willing to leave everything there and get the hell out of there. You know, it was horrible. It was horrible. I was shaking. You know, my mouth was dry. Couldn't even talk. I was so scared. It was horrible. You know, I didn't know how to get out of there. And I haven't, you know, I know that, you know, sometimes when people have alcohol, you know, they do things, you know, that they normally
the different
wouldn't
way,
do.
yeah. Okay.
And so I was horrified. I pictured in my head how I'm going to escape. I tried telling Jerome, you know, let's go. And he didn't really get the hint because Jon Jones was right there the whole time with him, you know, and I didn't want to say, I'm terminating this drug test, because I was doing everything I could to not engage with him, to not trigger him. It was horrible. You know, it was just horrible. And so, I mean, had I had my phone, yes, absolutely. You know, but the fact that he grabbed my phone, F you know, I'm like, okay, as visibly, or as, yeah, he was very like aggressive, but not, he didn't put his hands on me, he did not touch me, but very aggressive, very in our face. You know, I mean, I wanted to call, I didn't know what to do. 911.
You said, just to clarify, you said if you had terminated the drug test, what did you think?
I felt like, well, he could have been fined a lot of money from the UFC. So
and
I
then,
didn't.
did you feel like Jones was going to do anything to you, or?
What do you mean? Like if I that's the reason I did not terminate it, because I wanted to many times, because I was afraid that it would trigger him even more, and then forget it. I'm really dead. You know what I mean? Like I just did what I had to just to get out of there. Like you know, we didn't even package the test correctly to get out of there. We just like, oh, let's get out, you know. So that's what happened.
Okay. And what's Jerome's number? And then, is Jerome aware that officers might be trying to reach out to him or anything?
No, because I didn't know. I didn't know.
I'm gonna just give him a call. If he doesn't want to talk, that's his right.
Okay.
And then I'll probably reach out to your boss as well.
Okay. And if he doesn't talk, I'll be really sad, because that's why I reached out for help, you know, and he's supposed to. But it's up to him too. I mean, honestly.
And
I
then
have proof. I was texting him for help, and you know what I mean.
Are you wanting to pursue charges against Jones? And do you have any of Jones's information, a name, and well, I know his name,
I could
but
look any.